Thanks so much, folks. So this morning we spent a lot of time talking about some of the higher level pieces with mental health literacy and some of the new kind of modules that are coming out. We've also heard from some of our incredible students about the personality, the personal, and the relationships that are involved and necessary in mental health. And so we hope that this next section will also help to bridge some of those. And we know that there's a whole lot of people in your communities who have the knowledge, capacity, and interest to help bring some of these pieces to life. So for the next little bit, we'd like to take a moment to talk about student engagement.
So we want to talk about why engage students. Meaningful student engagement at school is a primary protective factor for students' overall well-being. Research shows that outcomes for students include reduced stigma of mental health issues and assessing services and supports and increased mental health literacy, mentorship opportunities, experiential learning opportunities, and skill development, increased self-esteem and self-confidence. On a personal note, I know how important student engagement is to make you feel involved in your school community. Not only does it allow you to enjoy your education journey, but it gives the student control in a situation where they feel they have none.
So when we're thinking about staff, schools, and systems, student engagement provides opportunities for enhanced information and understanding of students' needs and wants, and it also provides new perspectives in decision-making, creative solutions, and improved relevancy of programs and services. In my personal experience, I know how many times I've gone to Thrive SMH with a question, a problem, confusion, and the amount of times that students have shared a brand new solution I've never thought of, a new direction, a new pathway, a new idea. I leave those meetings feeling energized and with a new sense of direction.
In Here Now Ontario 2021, students told School Mental Health Ontario they want leadership opportunities to be more accessible to every student and create space for different leadership styles. Students want diverse leadership styles to be recognized and supported by offering various opportunities for leadership roles. Students would like greater representation in mental health initiatives to encourage participation amongst diverse students. Students want opportunities to learn and practice new skills to support their leadership and participation. In Here Now Ontario 2021, 70% of students also shared that they wanted to be involved in mental health initiatives. We spent some time this morning thinking about mental health literacy and ways to bring it into the classroom. Consider how students can help to support these goals. Might some information be better received from a peer than a staff member? How might you work with students who have discovered a new passion or learning in this area to act on their knowledge?
So as many of you know, back in the winter, we launched the Student Engagement Toolkit. First, I want to share a huge thank you to all of those involved, from those that were a part of the working group, sharing examples, developing and leading webinars, and implementation. It was such a huge undertaking, and I want to share my deepest appreciation for all of the efforts that went into it, both from those folks that are currently in this room and those that are on the ground working today. The toolkit is a series of short resources, and we've done this intentionally to ensure that it is an evergreen resource. With your feedback, including the insights shared in today's sessions, we will continue to grow and deepen the toolkit to better meet your needs. The toolkit is also broad. It's meant to inspire and prompt thinking. Many folks in many different roles have responsibility for creating caring conditions for student engagement and for engaging students, and we hope that these folks can see themselves in this toolkit. In the toolkit, we define student engagement as an ongoing process that centers every student's lived experience and voice, positioning them as valued experts to influence the outcomes that affect them. This requires critical reflection from school and system staff to dismantle imbalanced relationships and uplift student voices in mental health planning and programming.
To add context to this definition, we will now move into a panel discussion. For question 1, what does student engagement mean to you? I'm going to pass this on to Daunte.
Is this on? I just want to introduce myself really quickly. Sego, Daunte Yungats, Gini Jote, Nidewa Geno, Nadewa Go Seli, Yagun, Yayak, Yaware, Ojibwe, Niwako, Hujiada. My name's Daunte Hillen. I'm from Hamilton Wentworth District School Board. I'm a grade 10 student. And I'm the Sego Wanagalidas for the school board, so the Indigenous Student Trustee. So I'll get to the questions now. So to me, student engagement really refers to the level of engagement, interest, and interaction of students, both inside and outside the classroom environment. And this looks very different for every student, as not all opportunities line up with where students are at and their specific needs at that very time. Oftentimes, students, based on their lived experiences and backgrounds, may not always feel these opportunities are safe and healthy for them to engage in. This, alongside various other barriers that present themselves in these. This is where educators, administrators, and school boards have a chance to improve on these topics to ensure that it best suits the needs of students. Every student should have the right to actively participate in events with zero barriers and with the appropriate supports to ensure full participation is a reality.
Thank you, Daunte, very much. So it was a beautiful introduction. I'm going to now pass the question to Kirin.
Hi everyone, I'm Kirin. My pronouns are she, her. I'm from the DPCDSB and I'm in grade 12. Yep, over there. So when I'm asked to envision what student engagement is, I picture a space that is founded on connections with youth, that gets them excited and willing to participate not only in clubs in their class learning, but within the school community as a whole. It is an inclusive, accessible, brave space that takes input and feedback from students to understand their interests. It is open to all types of learning styles and abilities where students feel safe to share their viewpoints and learn from each other.
On to the next question. When you think of good student engagement, what do you see? What is needed to make it happen? I'm going to pass this to Audrey.
Yeah, so my name's Audrey. I'm in grade 12 and I'm part of the Near North District School Board. So since the subject of mental health is still pretty new and fragile for many people, when I picture good student engagement on a general level, I imagine students simply talking about it. I see students supporting other students who have put time and effort into making mental health initiatives. In another scenario, maybe a little bit in the future, I imagine many students going beyond just talking about it. I imagine many students always collaborating and giving ideas as to how they can improve their school's perspective and environment. In this scenario, people who do put effort into making a difference do not ever feel scared or embarrassed for helping others in this aspect, because it is something that many students contribute to. As to what is needed to make this become a reality, the answer is the staff. Teachers have an incredible influence and impact on their students, many of whom are role models for their students. The reality is that everyone struggles with their mental health at some point in their life, and usually this happens during the years of high school. Many of the students know it exists, they just do not know how to express their thoughts about it, in addition to if they even should. If teachers simply talk about it more, students will know it is okay to talk about it. There is also a fine line between staff members talking about it with students and coming off as though they care, but then not putting in the effort to support the students who want to make a difference in their school. In addition, more often than not, there are students who want to become involved in a club or project for mental health, but then they hear other students talking about how they don't feel supported, so it deters them. In the end, for the best outcome of student engagement, it all comes down to feeling supported and heard.
I'm now going to pass it over to Daunte.
Thank you very much. I don't even know if it's on.
Oh, whoops.
Quick shout out to David and Rahil. So what I envision when I think of good student engagement and the environment is an identity-affirming environment where all students' input is valued and heard, and without the presence of tokenism, because in reality, that's unfortunately very present in our boards. And understanding that all students have unique experiences and that we all come from different places, whereas that be our journey of how we got here, our travels, geographic location. And it is really important to make known and understood by our educators and outlined in our curriculum to ensure safety and accessibility for students. Thank you.
I'm now going to pass it over to Kirin.
To me, an important part of student engagement is reaching out to students and having follow-ups with them. I myself have had a few instances where I've spoken up at school about me needing support from school resources to help my adjustment from coming back to school after spending 3 years of isolation online. Advocating for myself was a big step for me, and I was comforted by the fact that teachers empathized with my experiences and said they would do their best to support me. However, I have often felt that I was given false promises or was forgotten due to my requests of needing help not being followed through. Asking for help is an intimidating process and can be a big deal for students like me who are still learning how to speak up for themselves. Due to what I've experienced, it gave off the impression that what I asked for was not important enough, when I needed more than just surface level acknowledgement. As someone who struggles with anxiety, I don't always have the courage to ask for it again and go through the strenuous process once more. This is a prime example of staff who have the power to take action, who need to check up on students rather than assuming the issue is resolved.
For question 3, we have, share a time when a staff member made you feel seen or helped your idea come to life. What exactly did they do? I'm going to ask Kirin to answer first.
Okay, so I have a few examples. At my school, I work as the sole student mental health and well-being champion, which in short is an amazing role where I get to promote well-being events and strategies. Being the only student with this role, it can be very taxing, especially when you're considered the voice of all the students at the school on top of balancing schoolwork. The only person to help me within the school building, other than a couple of teachers here and there, was my school's social worker, who has given me the space throughout the whole year to navigate the role as the well-being champion my way. As a student with limited resources and funds, she's helped me with organizing school events, helping create announcements, and encouraging me to try new things, picking up where I leave off because I'm so busy with schoolwork. She understands when I'm hesitant to do something like taking on more work or saying an announcement I'm not comfortable with. She gives me the space to say no and understands that I have boundaries. She demonstrates that student engagement can be a two-way street. In order for a student to feel connected, sometimes they must have an equal amount of power and have their boundaries be respected. As well, I'm also an executive member of my school's magazine club. During the summer, my friends and I had it all planned out and proposed it to a teacher who didn't even know who we were. Initially, it was difficult to negotiate what the vision of the magazine was going to be because the teacher thought it would be a promotion of all the arts classes at school. But us, the students, were thinking of something completely new where people would combine personal art together and direct photo shoots. Once she gave the students the power, that's when the magazine blossomed and came to life, allowing them to share their own voice that wasn't controlled by the school's vision. It allowed students to have their own voice and platform and is an example of giving students opportunities to take action themselves, while being there as a teacher to support them if they need help and facilitate what they wanted to do.
I'm going to pass it on to Audrey.
A time when a staff member made me feel seen and helped my idea come to life was when I talked to my adult ally, who already knew that I was having trouble with getting attention regarding mental health from other staff members. She simply listened to my idea, asked some clarification questions, asked some next step questions, and most importantly, she helped me get to that next step of talking with the principal, because at least in my school, that was where the final decision lay. This last step is extremely important because often students have the will and determination to help their school environment, but just as often these students and their initiatives are never shown to their school community because students do not have the same power that staffs do. Students cannot do anything without support and action from the staff, so to see concrete change in the schools, we need staff members to not only listen, but to act on it as well.
And our last question is, as a student, how do you get other students to become involved and participate? I'm going to ask Daunte to answer first.
Thank you very much for that question. And so as a student, some ways that I engage my peers to actively participate is to look to student leaders who started groups and clubs that positively support the school environment. Also acknowledging that all of our students are student leaders and any opportunity to hear their voice is valuable. And so using that advice, I am then able to explain to my peers and demonstrate the importance of the presence of student voice and leadership in our school environments. Most sustainable causes are rooted in student engagement. Therefore, by inviting more students in these causes, I truly believe that our society is benefiting from it. A crucial part of student engagement is belonging. When us as students don't feel invited or that we belong in these spaces, our engagement and input will cease to exist, then causing the creation of more barriers and possibly even the degradation of our school environments. And a specific example when I'm very proud to participate in is the OSTA ECO conferences. So I was in Toronto a couple of weeks ago, and that's such a valuable time for professional development because I'm then able to go, hear all the stories, and take in the professional development. And then I'm able to go back to my school board and convey the message to students from my school all the way to the director and the executive council. And I think really being able to speak on an equal level to my peers and being around the same age is something that's so important. And honestly, excited to have the opportunity to share with my peers because we're not always heard, and a lot of times they feel empowered to see other students stepping into these spaces and speaking, knowing that we weren't always invited to these spaces, but now there are conferences like these where I'm able and all of us are able to share our experiences and such valuable input. Thank you.
I'll now pass the question to Kirin.
To engage students, I think it's helpful if activities are kept during school hours in places they enjoy to hang out. My school social worker and I prepared some yoga after school, but we only had 2 students show up. While it was still rewarding and even impactful to just have even those 2 students, it clearly was not engaging enough for them to participate. When we adapted from that knowledge and we put the activities during lunch in our school's cafeteria, making calm down jars and buttons, it was flourishing and so many more students got to benefit from the mindfulness activities, which was really heartwarming to see. We got many requests to create more events like those. And similarly, back to the magazine club, when we were trying to get students to participate, we ensured that they could submit a variety of mediums like photography, visual arts, all the way to poetry. And although they were structured activities, they gave students enough room to make it unique to them and share their authentic voice, which is an important part of student engagement.
And I'm going to pass it off to Audrey for our last opinion.
The most important things students can do to get others to become involved and participate is to show the reality of the situation. It is important that students see the realness of mental health because, like I said before, they all know it to be true because of what has happened in their own life or the lives of others close to them. They just do not want to be the odd one out. It will give students a touch of reality that mental health is part of everyone's life. Then it will persuade other students not only that they're called to speak out is okay, but also that it is crucial to help others see as well. An example would be when there was an unfortunate event that happened at my school, but because it was so real, ever since this event happened, students in my grade have been posting on Instagram content related to mental health, such as how you are not alone when struggling, ways to cope, signs of different mental illnesses, etc. It is the most acknowledgement of mental health that I have seen from my peers, and it is quite unfortunate that my school had to go through a difficult situation to see the importance of mental health, but it is what makes people realize that we all need to work together to fight through this battle. So going back to how students can influence others to participate, it all goes back to the personal touches, sharing passion, empathy, and real stories about people their own age, because students will be able to relate to those shares a lot more than you realize. The biggest problem that humans face regarding mental health is how we feel like we are alone in what we are struggling with. So hearing that you are not alone not only helps people feel better about themselves, but it can also persuade them to want to join other students trying to help others see this as well. I would like to talk about another experience I have personally had, which is how it can be scary speaking out about the subject, which sometimes seems ironic to me because I've been an activist for mental health for many years now. So I understand that mental health is not bad, but nevertheless, I still get nervous speaking about it because there's still the stigma associated with it. My advice for students is to take that risk of speaking out, because although it can be nerve-wracking, just know that you are doing the right thing. Many people will never be able to speak out for themselves or others, so even when you feel like the other students do not care about what you are saying and doing for the other students, know that they actually do care. They're just too afraid to say or do anything about it because it can be a scary topic. Always remember that you are doing the right thing by speaking up, and even if your efforts are reaching only one person, that is still one life you are still helping. In summary, to get other students involved, help them understand the reality of mental health and illness, share personal stories, and encourage open discussions. This approach helps break the stigma and fosters a supportive environment where students feel comfortable participating and helping each other. Thank you.